Delighted to see everyone here today. This is just a wonderful turnout of so many people who are really very important in the field, and the press, of course. I'm Carolyn Lamb, and president of the American Bar Association, and I'm delighted to say this report is so important to us that not only do you have the president, but our president-elect, Steve Zack, is here, who himself is an immigrant and Hispanic, our first Hispanic leader, president of the ABA as of next year, and he will have a commission on Hispanic rights, and this will be a big issue for them. So we have a great interest in the leadership in this area. But thank you for all of you joining us today as we unveil this new report about the adjudication of immigration removal cases. The study was prepared pro bono by the law firm of Arnold and Porter at the request of the ABA Commission on Immigration. They've just done a fabulous job and donated just thousands and thousands of hours to do it. The Commission on Immigration leads the ABA's efforts to ensure fair treatment and due process rights for immigrants and refugees in the United States. The Commission also takes a lead role in advocating for legislative priorities concerning immigration, providing information on trends and court decisions for the legal community and for the public, supporting representation projects, and these are very important, innovative, and really to be commended, in Seattle, in San Diego, and in South Texas to provide effective, high-quality legal assistance for people in immigration proceedings. ProBar, the South Texas Pro Bono Asylum Representation Project, has celebrated its 20th year of providing legal assistance to immigrants and asylum seekers. The ABA and the Committee on Immigration have been engaged in these issues for many years. But about a year and a half ago, the Commission approached Arnold and Porter to initiate the study. Arnold and Porter wrote a nearly 500-page report after conducting an incredibly thorough investigation that they will brief you on further this morning about examining each stage of the immigration removal system. They make 60 recommendations for improvement of the system. A number of the recommendations offered through the study are similar to and in accordance with existing ABA policy. It should be noted, however, that the study's recommendations are not yet ABA policy and will not be until each of them is passed by the ABA House of Delegates. This issue and all of these recommendations will be considered at our meeting next Monday and Tuesday of the ABA House of Delegates at our mid-year meeting in Orlando. Today, however, we want to share with you the key findings of the study in 6 major areas of concern, and they are Department of Homeland Security. Department of Homeland Security policies and procedures, along with certain provisions of the immigration law, have contributed to immigration courts handling 280,000 cases per year. In addition, DHS policies have failed to assure due process for non-citizens. Second, immigration courts. Immigration judges have been overwhelmed by increasing caseloads and therefore have issued mostly oral decisions which sometimes are not fully researched or based on the law or the facts. And a respondent's chances of success are highly dependent upon which judge hears the matter rather than the merits of the case. Third, the Board of Immigration Appeals. Changes in recent years to streamline the administrative appeals process while reducing the backlog of cases have often left non-citizens wondering whether the government has fully and fairly considered their cases and has burdened circuit courts with far more appeals than before. Fourth, circuit court judicial review. The circuit courts of appeals have seen an explosion of immigration cases in recent years. Greater limitations on judicial review have led to increased confusion and greater difficulties for unrepresented non-citizens. Fifth, representation. And this is of particular significance to the American Bar Association, in addition to the due process concerns. Adequate representation is a hallmark of the justice system in the United States. There is a severe lack of adequate representation in immigration proceedings, and it is greatly affecting the outcome in immigration cases. Sixth, the structure of the system. Perhaps the most important recommendation of all is to create an independent body responsible for adjudicating immigration cases. The study offers a uniquely comprehensive and comparative review of existing courts and agencies, detailed recommendations for overhauling a system in order to promote independence and fairness, as well as efficiency and professionalism. I always like to think our country is the greatest country of the world when it comes to rule of law and access to justice for all. And we should be a beacon in the world for due process. We can't tolerate a system that runs afoul of those concepts. I have given you the highlights, but I will now turn the panel over to Karen Grisé and our experts who are here. Karen is the chair of the ABA Commission on Immigration and is special counsel for public service at the law firm of Fried Frank, Harris, Shriver, and Jacobson, LLP. In her role, Karen manages the intake and placement of all pro bono matters. Karen is, in her practice, focused on political asylum, deportation defense, and other immigration matters. Karen is the former chair of the Immigration Litigation Committee of the Section on Litigation in the ABA and a trustee of the American Immigration Council. She serves on the board of the Capital Area Immigrants' Rights Coalition. She is, to be sure, an expert in the area. She and others assembled here will discuss the details of our landmark study, and they will be available to you to take questions as soon as they've finished their comments. But thank you so much for your interest and your attention to this very important matter. Karen?
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Carolyn, and welcome to Steve, to all our government colleagues that I see present in the room, our academic colleagues, our law firm friends, and those from the NGO community. I'm really heartened by the turnout, and I know this really reflects the fact that it's not only the press, but all those that are dealing with this issue every single day that are concerned about the problems and eager I want most of the time in the presentation today to be spent with you hearing from the panelists, primarily the authors of the report. So I'm gonna try to give you a little more overview of that, and I'm gonna let you know that whenever I give an oral argument, I always have to put a big sign for myself that says slow down, because I have a tendency to try to say so much so quickly that some of it gets lost. Today I'm gonna give myself a sign that says speed up, because I want most of the time to get spent with the other folks on the panel. But here's the little overview. As Carolyn said, immigration has long been a concern of the ABA, and there has been policy over more than 20 years. I see Christy Gaines in the back. She could tell me better exactly how many. But through the 80s and the 90s, the ABA has been active in policy making in the immigration area. And as recently as about 2006 or 7, there was a big package of resolutions that passed. And as Carolyn said, many of those policies underlie some of the recommendations that are made in the study, but the study today is going further and new recommendations are going to emerge from that. Immigration has been a legislative priority of the ABA, one of the top 3 or 4 issues that the ABA has been focused on in legislative efforts for the last at least 3 or 4 years. The initial concept of the study came from Professor Schoenholtz, Andy Schoenholtz, down at the my far left. And I'll give you more of an introduction of Professor Schoenholtz later, but it was his concept. He's the one that brought to the commission 18 months or a little longer than that ago the notion that the crisis in immigration adjudications was really burgeoning, and not only that, but reaching crisis proportions. The problems with the caseloads, the streamlining at the BIA, and shifting the impact of those problems onto the federal courts was becoming a huge concern, and the federal courts were in turn reflecting back a concern about the quality of the decision making because of the lack of resources and the lack of some firm administrative processes in the immigration courts and at the board. So that was the impetus for the study. Next question, why did the commission turn to Arnold and Porter? How did we get partnered with them for this study? Arnold and Porter was our first and obvious choice. They have a long history of direct representation, pro bono representation, in a wide variety of immigration-related matters, asylum primarily, but other deportation defense and some federal court litigation in immigration areas. We were aware of some work that they had done in federal court a few years ago around the streamlining of the Board of Immigration Appeals, and so the breadth of their experience with people handling one-off immigration matters, the availability of substantive immigration knowledge in their leadership team, and their availability or willingness to commit big resources to a big project were all things that made the natural fit and took us to these folks. Now, how our decision to go to Arnold and Porter is vindicated is in the results that you see before you today. And I cannot say more, I can't say strongly enough how much gratitude the Commission and the ABA has to Arnold and Porter for taking up this work. As Carolyn said, they devoted a huge team of more than 50 people, attorneys, legal assistants, and others to the work on this study. They devoted more than 13 hours in total. Think of how many people full-time that would be over the course of a year. They spent more than 18 months working on it. The methodology included interviews. I know many of the people interviewed are in this room. Over 100 stakeholders across all sections of the immigration adjudication system. They started the study from an unbiased perspective with no foregone conclusions. We did not know what the outcome was going to be, what the recommendations would be at the end of the study. We told them what the topic was and turned them loose on the effort. And so what you have here is the most thorough, most comprehensive study that's ever been done of the immigration removal adjudication system. The executive summary that you have today is about, I'm going to say, near 100 pages and 90 footnotes, something like that, and it is so comprehensive that we're going to have trouble getting through it in the amount of time we have. But the full study that will be available online by the end of next week. Is that right? A full downloadable PDF will be on the Commission on Immigration website by the end of next week. That is about 500 to 600 pages in print, so that'll be, by the time it gets typeset and so forth, I think that'll be about 400 more pages coming your way. So you can find it on our website, and for those who prefer hard copies, they'll be available through the Commission on Immigration for sale.